Welcome here to this episode of the Arabian Sports Network Inside the Playbook. I'm your host, Michael Hooker. We have a great episode for you guys, so stay tuned, but let's jump straight into it. Welcome here to this segment of ASN Inside the Playbook. My name is Michael Hooker. I'm joined here with
Liam Davis.
So, Liam, today, our topic, we are recapping March Madness as a whole. Obviously, it is already wrapped up. Florida was crowned as the national champions this year over Houston. Very good national championship game, but we will get into that later on in the segment. We're going to start off with the first round. Now, we went through and picked the top 5 games from each round. Then we put their leading scores for both teams and the reason for the pick. Obviously, once you get to like the Elite Eight and so on, it goes from 5 down to like 1.
Yeah.
So, first round recap. Number 1, Creighton and Louisville. Final was 68-65. That is definitely not the right score, but it was Creighton. Louisville was the number 1, probably the best game of the opening round and the opening game. Pretty good showing. I will say that.
Yeah, great way to start out March Madness. I'll get into the point scores, starting out with Louisville. Chucky Hepburn, 22 points on 9 for 23 of shooting.
9 for
2 for 8 from 3 with 6 assists.
Yeah.
Terrence Edwards Jr., also on Louisville, had 21 points on 9 for 22 of shooting. They shot over 60% of their team shots.
And they made 18 of them.
They made 18 out of 45. Terrence Edwards went 3 for 9 from 3. So combined 5 for 17. Yeah, 5 for 17. He finished with 4 rebounds and 3 assists. And now going on to the Creighton side, we had Jemiah Neal with 29 points, 11 for 16 on shooting, 2 for 5 from 3, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, which double-double. And Stephen Ashworth, he's had experience in March Madness as he's 25 years old, still in college. 22 points, 6 for 13 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. And then Rye Kalkbrenner, I'm pretty sure he had about like 12 points, but I put him on here because he had 4 blocks on the defensive side.
Yeah, and then next at number 2, we put Marquette versus New Mexico. 75-66 was the final. New Mexico pulling that out. Leading scorers was David Joplin for Marquette, 28 points, 9 for 15 from the field, 6 for 10 from behind the arc with 4 rebounds. Then you got Cam Jones as well for Marquette. He was their second leading scorer. 15 points, 6 for 14 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Then you had Donovan Dent for New Mexico, 21 points, 7 for 17 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3, 3 rebounds, 6 assists. And then Nelly Jr. Joseph for New Mexico had 19 points, 7 for 10 from the field, 7 rebounds, and 1 assist. And we picked that because it was late in the first round, like 2 or 1 game left after them, and it was an upset by New Mexico because Marquette's a very experienced team in March Madness, and they should have won that.
Next one that we picked was number 6 Missouri going up against number 11 Drake. Drake pulled that one out 67-57.
Big upset.
Huge upset that not many people predicted. That's why we put it on here, especially a 10-point win. Starting out on the Missouri side, Caleb Grill with 14 points, 4 for 10 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3, 4 rebounds, and 4 steals, dominating on the defensive side. Tamara Bates, also for Missouri, 10 points, 3 for 6 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3, 1 rebound. Slashing guard, not shooting really a lot of threes. Now we're going over to the Drake side. Bennett Sturts with 21 points, 8 for 11 from the field, 3 for 3 from 3, 4 assists. And then Tavion Banks with 15 points, 5 for 11 from the field, 9 rebounds, 3 steals, and 3 blocks.
Yeah, it was a great game. Bennett Sturts was on fire.
I know. He missed 3 shots.
All right, next up, Clemson McNeese. Final 69-67 McNeese. The reason, it was an upset, a 12-5 upset, but McNeese was up so much, and they almost gave it away to Clemson with the comeback win. Leading scorers for Clemson, Jaden Zachary, 24 points, 9 for 19, 4 for 8 from 3, and then 5 rebounds. Then you had Chase Hunter, 21 points, 5 for 11 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, 9 rebounds, 9 for 10 on free throws, and 2 steals. Then for McNeese, you had Brandon Murray, 21 points, 10 for 18 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. And then Kadir Copeland had 16 points, 5 for 8 from the field, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. And then our last pick of the first round, Liam's team falls to Arkansas and Coach Calipari.
It was heartbreaking.
Kansas, Arkansas. Liam, you can break down the stats.
It was heartbreaking. It was so hard to see my team go down. I was actually on my airplane going home from Florida, and I got off my airplane and I saw the score, and it's heartbreaking. But starting off with Kansas, Zeke Mayo, 18 points, 5 for 8 from the field, 4 for 5 from behind the arc, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. And then you have AJ Storr, 15 points, 4 for 7 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, 3 rebounds, 1 block. And then on the Arkansas side, you have Jonas Ido with 22 points, 10 for 19 from the field, 5 rebounds, 3 steals, 3 blocks. Great defensive player, great offensive player. And then John L. Davis with 18 points, 5 for 10 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3, and then 3 rebounds.
All right. So that's first round. Second round recap, round of 32. First game, probably the best game of this round, in our opinion.
Some could say of the tournament.
Yeah,
honestly.
Number 4, Maryland takes down number 12, Colorado State in a close one, 72-71. The only buzzer beater that I can recall of the tournament, and it was a pretty good one. We're just going to do the leading scorer for both teams. So for Colorado State, it was Nick Clifford, 21 points, 7 for 17 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 blocks. And then for Maryland, it was the freshman Derek Queen, had 17 points, 7 for 12 from the field, 2 for 3 from behind the arc, 6 rebounds, and 2 blocks.
Derek Queen is going to be great when the future comes. He's only a freshman, and he's been putting up 30 points on any given night.
Yeah.
But going to our number 2 pick, we have St. John's going down to Arkansas.
Probably the best coaching matchup we've ever seen.
Rick Pitino versus
John Calipari.
Yep.
It's hard to do better than that.
Arkansas would go on to win 75-66. Billy Richmond on the Arkansas side, 16 points, 6 for 10 from the field, 9 rebounds. And then going over to St. John's side, we have Zuby Ejiofor with 23 points, 7 for 12 from the field, 12 rebounds, 9 for 11 from the free throw line, and 2 steals. I want to point out a certain player because I did have St. John's winning it all, and they were my best bracket up until this moment. R.J. Lewis Jr., 9 points, 3 for 17 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3, 7 rebounds, 2 steals.
He played terrible.
I had them winning it all. They were so well coached. They had such a good regular season, and then they can't pull it out in the end.
Next up, we have Arizona versus Oregon. Final was 87-83 Arizona. 2 very good teams going up against each other. Arizona, I looked at the box score for these teams. Arizona, their shooting splits were crazy. They're very efficient. But getting into the stats, Jackson Shelstad for Oregon led the way, 25 points, 9 for 14 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3. And then for Arizona, you already know who it is. It was Mr. Caleb Love with 29 points, 10 for 18 from the field, 5 for 7 from behind the arc, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists.
And our number 4 pick, Florida taking down UConn by 2 points. UConn falls, going for 3 straight, can't pull it out. Walter Clayton Jr. for Florida, you already know, 23 points, 6 for 14 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, 3 rebounds. Liam McNeely on the UConn side, 22 points, 6 for 16 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3, 3 assists, 2 steals.
Yeah, I mean, it's just insane. Last pick of the second round, Purdue McNeese, 76-62 Purdue. Runaway. Purdue, runaway. Now you may be thinking, why put a blowout on here? Because it was supposed to be an upset. A lot of people had McNeese going to the Sweet 16 in this game, and Purdue said, nuh-uh. But we're going to get into this. For McNeese, Sincere Parker, that's a fun name. His name's Sincere. 17 points, 7 for 15 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3. And then for Purdue, Mr. TKR, Trey Kaufman-Wren, 22 points, 7 for 12 from the field, 15 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block for Mr. TKR.
Going over to the Sweet 16 round, starting off with the first game, Duke versus Arizona. Duke takes down Arizona 193.
Which is nuts. And I put on there, I titled it The Ending of the Love Affair, because Caleb Love was known as...
And Duke was his main school that he wanted to go to. Duke never offered him. He went to North Carolina.
UNC ended.
Caleb Love was undefeated versus Duke going into this game. And he falls by a staggering score, 193.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper Flagg, the freshman player of the year.
National player of the year.
Freshman player of the year. 30 points, 9 for 19 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 blocks. And then just falling short, Caleb Love on the Arizona side, 35 points, 11 for 21 from the field, 5 of 11 from 3, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal.
Yeah, that was nuts. It was such a nuts game. I remember watching it. It was crazy. Next up, Houston, Purdue, final 62-60. The games were getting a lot closer in this round, except for one, but we'll get into that in a minute. But for Houston, Milos Uzan had 22 points, 8 for 17 from the field, 6 for 9 from 3, 3 rebounds, 6 assists. And then Fletcher Lawyer, 16 points, 6 for 12 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist. That wraps up Houston, Purdue. Probably one of the best games we will see. I'd say it's up there with the Maryland, Colorado State game.
So much Purdue fans were so mad at the end of that game.
Yeah, Mr. Whitehair was too. But next up, Texas Tech versus Arkansas. Coach Calipari nearly
almost
taking down Texas Tech.
Texas Tech was a really solid team.
85-83, Texas Tech pulls it out. Christian Anderson led the way, 22 points, 7 for 14 from the field, 3 for 9 from 3, 4 rebounds and 3 assists for the Red Raiders. And then for Arkansas, you had John L. Davis, 30 points, 8 for 22 from the field, 3 for 9 from 3, 11 for 11 at the free throw line, 6 rebounds, and 1 assist.
And now this is probably the highest scoring game we've ever seen.
Of combined score. I think that's what, 201 combined score?
Something. Alabama versus BYU. Alabama wins 113-88.
Crazy.
You don't see that. You don't see 100 points scored a lot in college basketball, let alone 113. BYU's leading scorer, Richie Saunders, with 25 points, 10 for 14 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals. And then Alabama leading the way was Mark Sears with 34 points, 11 for 18 from the field, 10 for 16 from behind the arc.
Crazy.
3 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals. And if I'm not mistaken, over 75% of the shots Alabama took was from behind the arc.
Yeah, they had I think they broke an NCAA record with 25 made threes as a team, which was crazy.
It was insane.
And then finishing the Sweet 16, Michigan State versus Ole Miss, 73-70 Michigan State. Izzo Spartans pulling it out in a close one. Sean Padula led the way for Ole Miss, 24 points, 9 for 17 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. And then Jace Richardson, 20 points, 6 for 8 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and 6 rebounds. Now we got the Elite 8. There were 4 games, so we ranked them from best to worst, and best
was number 1 Duke versus number 2 Alabama.
Probably the 2 of the best offensive teams in college basketball,
and
duking it out. And
it was so much crazier from Sweet 16 to the Elite 8 for Alabama. Almost a 50-point
drop off.
Yeah. Colin Knippel led the way for Duke with 21 points, 6 for 15 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. And then you have LeBaron Fillon for Alabama. What a fun name to say. 16 points, 4 for 9 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals.
Yeah, that was crazy. And then
Duke shut down Mark Sears.
And then the next game, which was another number 1, number 2 matchup, Auburn, Michigan State. Auburn wins 70-64. Janai Broom leads the way, 25 points, 10 for 13 from the field, 2 for 2 from 3, 14 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. Then for Michigan State, it was Jackson Kohler with 17 points, 6 for 8 from the field, 3 for 4 from 3, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 block. Next up, national champs take down Texas Tech, 84-79. Walter Clayton Jr., you already know the story about it. 30 points, came from behind, led the way in scoring. We don't need to break down his stats like that.
Yeah.
But Darian Williams for Texas Tech had 23 points, 9 for 18 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, and 3 steals.
Next up is another 1-2 matchup. Houston taking down Tennessee 69-50. You know, not really as close as what people expected, but Houston's defense just is crazy. LJ Cryer led the way with Houston for 17.6 or 17 from the field. And then you have Chaz Lanier for Tennessee with 17 points. Only 4 for 18 from the field and 2 for 12 from 3.
Yeah, he did not shoot well from the field, but he had a lot of free throws. I remember that on his box score.
Yeah.
Final four, Houston Duke.
First Final Four with all 1 seeds in a long time.
Yeah, second one in history. Clutch City returns. Houston wins 70-67. They were down by at least 20 at one point. Cooper Flagg led the way for Duke. No surprise there. 27 points, 8 for 19 from the field, 3 for 4 from 3, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. LJ Cryer for Houston, 26 points, 8 for 14 from inside the arc, 6 for 9 from 3, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal.
I do want to say one thing about this game. I saw a really crazy stat. Duke scored 1 field goal
In the last 7 minutes.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
It was like a 17-point ball game with 12 minutes left, and then Houston won a 17-2 run. It's crazy. But then the other Final Four game, Florida-Auburn. Florida pulls away 79-73. Walter Clayton again showing off a masterclass, 34 points, 11 for 18 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3.
Yeah, just doing Walter Clayton things.
And then we had Chad Baker-Mazzara for Auburn having 18.6 for 10 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, 1 rebound, 4 steals. What a defensive night.
Well, you want to talk about defense? Let's talk about that national championship. Offensively, both teams could not score.
No.
It was not good. And to put it into perspective, Walter Clayton the past 2 rounds had 30-plus points. He was not a leading scorer. He had 9.
Yeah.
Will Richard led the way for Florida in that game where they won. 18 points, 5 for 10 from the field. They did not shoot that well. And then for Houston, it was still LJ Cryer. He shot okay from inside the arc, 6 for 18 with 19 points, but 4 for 11 from 3 from your best player. You can't have that. But that will pretty much wrap up March Madness. This is a bit of a longer segment just because we had so much to break down.
Yeah.
We tried to get through it quickly, but yeah, this is what we're with. We hope you all enjoyed this segment of ASN Inside the Playbook.
Hi, my name is Brooklyn Schuyler, and I'm the Assistant Operations Manager.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Cowan, and I am the Director of the Podcast Department.
My name is Aiden Wilson, and I'm in the Sports Department.
Hi, my name is Ada Brown, and I'm in the Social Media Department.
Hi, my name is Michael Hooker, and I'm in the Sports Department.
My name is Lena Johnson, and I'm in the Social Media Department.
Hi, my name is Layla Reef, and I'm the Social Media Director and Operations Manager.
I'm Jonathan Lambert, and I'm part of the Social Media Department.
Hi, I'm Zion Palmieri, and I'm the Director of the Sports Department.
Hi, my name is Sophia Bevan, and I'm in the Social Media Department.
I'm Luke Denniston, and I'm on the Social Media and Programming Departments.
Hi, I'm JC Robinette, and I'm the Director of the Programming Department.
Hi, I'm Xander Ohuria, and I'm in the Podcast Department.
I'm Elena Ihorn, and I'm part of the Social Media Department.
My name is Wesley Johnson, and I'm in the Podcast Department.
I'm Braden Oxeer, and I'm part of the Podcast Department.
Hi, my name is Callie Petty, and I'm in the Social Media Department.
Hi, my name is Liam Davis, and I'm in the Sports Department.
Hi, I'm Ethan Lincoln, and I'm a member of the Programming Department.
Hi, I'm Lacey Sneed, and I'm a part of the Social Media Department.
Hi, my name is Logan Roman, and I'm part of the Podcast Department.
Hi, my name is Lucas Williams, and I'm part of the Sports Department.
Hi, my name is Reagan Butler, and I work on the Programming Department.
We welcome you here to this segment of ASN's Inside the Playbook. I'm Zion Palmieri, joined here with
Lucas Williams, Mr. Watson.
Now, we're here to talk about Barry Bonds and if he should be in the Hall of Fame. You know, I was trying to come up with topics for our sports podcast. And I thought this would be a really good one because it's a big debate, but really, is it? What do we think?
Well, asking Mr. Whitehair, I asked him what he thought, and he immediately said no. He said because he cheated. So
I guess so. Here, let's take this as something a little bit better, right? So let's talk about Tom Brady for just a second. I want to talk about one of the greatest of all time at their sport. If Tom Brady had taken some additive or supplement or a drug that had made him a better quarterback, and this came out just right at the end of his career or something like that, would you still deem him as the greatest quarterback of all time? Would you still put him in the Hall of Fame?
I mean, we know what Zion's gonna say. I mean,
That's with the Patriots shirt on, yeah.
Hall of Fame, greatest quarterback of all time, no. Hall of Fame, yes. Because no, we're not here to say Barry Bonds the best player of all time. I mean, that's a different conversation. But I think you can't be deemed the greatest of all time if you weren't like fully clean, you have no reason for them not to put you in. You know what I mean?
But you would still, so you put basically being the greatest of all time above the Hall of Fame, which makes sense. But you think that means that he should still be let in the Hall of Fame. Why?
I don't know about Hall of Fame. I think no. I think you cheated the game. At that point, you cheated. I think they're very, at least the NFL, I know it's about integrity. It's about like who you are, not only on the field. They make it a big thing when you get like sworn into Canton and how your legacy is going to be protected forever. And they don't want to protect a legacy that's got a big scratch on it.
So when I asked Mr. Watson, about this whole thing, you asked, what's the point of a Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
And that kind of got me thinking. So I looked up, what is the point of the Baseball Hall of Fame? And in their own words, it says it is to preserve the sport's history, which was the first thing that they said, honor excellence within the game, and make a connection between the generations of people who enjoy baseball. And it's kind of hard to preserve the sport's history without talking about, not just Barry Bonds, but all of those, players from the steroids era. Like, also, as you said, like, greatest of all time, you can debate that all you want, but he should be in the Hall of Fame. Like, I feel like those players, I mean, yeah, they did cheat their way through, but if you want to preserve the sport's history, you kind of can't mention that full decade that, they went through, which is, I mean, a lot of people would say that there was probably their, favorite era to watch.
And like you said, if you cannot tell the story of the game of baseball, which now spans over 170 years officially, then they need to be in. And he needs to be in some way, even if it's just as a contributor, which is a different definition. I don't think you can do the game of baseball and talk about it without talking about Canseco, McGuire, Bonds. And so I think just because of that, with him being a record holder, I think you have to put him in. But if it's just to be honoring great players, then I kind of lean toward what you're saying, Zion, where it's like he cheated the game. But if we're telling the story of baseball as I feel like we should, I think I'd put him in.
That's a really good question. Is there any other players that come to mind, Mr. Watson, that have like kind of missed out in the Hall of Fame or something like that in any sport, really? Because I feel like a lot of guys get popped for PEDs of some kind, and it does nothing to them. They're out for like think of baseball, Fernando Tatis. He got popped for PEDs. He's out for a year. He's back to his normal self.
So they do it differently now because it's easier to track, because it's easier to understand. When a guy's doing something illegal, I think they're able to punish them there. Mm-hmm. The hard part about Bonds is that you aren't able to punish him. You don't know how far back it goes. And suddenly you run into those issues just as much as you run into the issue of, say that there was a guy who was not an MLB caliber player. He took steroids. Now he's just barely a roster scraper. Like, that messes with the whole game as well. Then it's not the best players. It's who can be the best player while also getting this additive.
So, you're talking about when like kind of Barry Bonds, like when he first started they didn't know exactly when they started. Yeah. They say that it was around the 1998 season, around that. So if you want to kind of break down some of the stats, in those first 13 seasons, he had a batting average of 290, 1,364 runs, 411 home runs, 1,200 RBIs, and over 1,300 stolen bases. And I mean, that's only in the first 13 seasons, and this is supposedly before he all took steroids. Those are pretty phenomenal stats. I mean...
yeah, and it kind of makes you wonder, A, is he lying? Which we'll never know now. But if he's not lying, then why did he feel like... Did he feel like he had to take it just so that he could extend his career?
Yeah, and that was so... I just don't why? Why did he take steroids? Because he would have been, if he never did, then there was no question. We wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah.
He would 1,000% be in the Hall of Fame because in those 9 seasons, he did have a better batting average, but of course, I mean, less home runs, less RBIs, less stolen bases.
I think as a player, you do everything you want to do to win a game. Think about like pitchers now. There was that like 2 years ago, like everyone was getting popped for like having spider tack. Would you like pretend Garrett Cole has a Hall of Fame career? Would you take him out because he used spider tack? Everyone's trying to find the best way to almost cheat their competitors, but just find a new edge to the game. And things constantly happen all the time. Now the Yankees have different bats. Maybe, that's a debate. Is that okay? I feel like steroids are a different thing. That's a completely different can of worms. But like you're a competitor. Everyone finds a way to win. Everyone's going to bend the rules until they break.
Well, and honestly, so you talk about baseball, right? Since the 1860s, people have been trying to find ways to cheat in baseball to try to get that edge. They'd use scuffed balls. They pay players off from the other team in the Black Sox scandal of 1919. You're trying to find different ways to innovate the game. The Yankees historically have had a short porch in the outfield, so it was easier for their hitters to hit a home run that only goes out in their park. Baseball's always been about finding ways to get around the rules without it coming out. And I think that that's a part of the story too. So I'd lean with you there as well.
Something I was kind of wondering is, if you do have Bonds in the Hall of Fame and he did take steroids, does that open up the area, like the gate for anyone who took steroids can go in? And like just also, because steroids could really make you that much better. And one of the instances I kind of want to talk about is Rafael Palmeiro, who started taking steroids.
Is that my cousin or something?
Yeah, almost. Didn't start taking steroids until after 1989, and you can kind of tell because in 559 at-bats, he had a total of 8 hits. And after that, in 4 different seasons, he went on to hit 40 home runs.
Yeah.
So, like, even though the steroids didn't make Bonds, that much greater, it's not, even though he did have his single best home run season, which is the best out of anyone, 73 home runs in a season. Other than that, there was nothing like substantially better about him.
It was the longevity, yeah.
Yeah.
I think kind of to talk to your point there, though, the thing that would become a worry is if we let the whole floodgates open.
Yeah.
Then what are you telling the youth? Are you telling them that A, if you cheat but you're really good, then you'll get rewarded? And B, are you encouraging people to then use steroids and hope they don't get caught? That's one area. As the Baseball Hall of Fame is the pinnacle of baseball and its messaging, it's telling the story, are we then promoting that it's okay to try to cheat?
I think it's too late for the MLB now. There's been a stiff wall for this long. But like I think if they could go back, they need to promote being a competitor more. Because like you said, baseball has been about finding a way to win, finding a way to bend the rules until they break. And I think he did that until it broke. But like maybe they could show that as a competitor. It's way too late now. When he's 60, like they're not going to put him in, and then people are going to be like, steroids are the motive now, because that would shine a bad light.
And they've been leaving people out of the Baseball Hall of Fame since they started it. Shoeless Joe Jackson deserved to be in the Black Sox scandal of 1919. He was the best player in that World Series. He hit so well, but they always are going to say that he got paid off. And then Pete Rose is another one that he says he only bet for his team. He says he only gambled. But the MLB has been all about, the Hall of Fame has always been about just a hard, staunch line against these things, that it's an entitled club. And so maybe that's the reason that they'd probably never let them in.
Well, that'll about wrap it up for this segment. What's the final consensus? Yes or no?
I don't know. The more I've sat here and thought about it, I was immediately like, yeah, he should be. He's the best. Like, he's one of the best hitters, easily. There's no really debating that. But I don't know. It really depends on just kind of how you look at the Hall of Fame in general. I don't know. It really depends from person to person, but I don't know.
I'd tell you no. So I feel like right now, the player I could compare him to is Judge, right? So if Aaron Judge was found out in 5 years that he had done steroids, I'd be like, no, he's a cheater. I can't believe he did all this and broke Roger Maris's record. So if I'm thinking about it as somebody who wasn't there then, but if it happened now, I'd say no. I think that the game is supposed to be fair. That's one of the reasons we like sports is because anybody can win. And if we're using something extraneous that somebody else was not allowed access to, that's cheating. And I wouldn't want cheaters to be promoted.
You know, you kind of swayed me there. I was going to tell you that I would have said they can't do it now. Now it's way too late, so no. But back in the day when he retired, I would have said yeah. But I entirely agree with you there. That you didn't say anything I disagree with. That would leave a huge open the floodgates.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that'll do it. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Watson.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Stay tuned for more. You're listening to the Arabian Sports Network Inside the Playbook.
On all of the 91.7 WEEM social media pages, we post great content almost every day. So regardless of where you're seeing us now, you should make sure you can see us on any platform. We post awesome content like skits and funny videos, updates on our sports teams and their games, updates on stuff happening around the campus and community, and much more. We're 91.7 WEEM on all our socials, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. So don't be afraid to give us a follow.
Well, that is going to do it for today's episode. We hope you all enjoyed this episode of the Arabian Sports Network Inside the Playbook. Check back in a couple weeks from now for our next episode. But you guys just heard the Arabian Sports Network's Inside the Playbook.